morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. It's great to see you all here today. Great to see all of you. So we're going to start our celebration service by standing up and singing together our first song, which is Hands of Grace, and you'll find it on the left. And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Let us breathe deeply, relaxing more and more with each exhale, allowing ourselves to be still and know, allowing ourselves to be present in the heart as we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
Everything is Waiting for You by David White. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely, even you, at times, have felt the grand array, the swelling presence, and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you freedom. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentors of things to come. The doors have always been there to frighten you or invite you. And the tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and the creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you.
And so it is. So in the spirit of that miracle, of all of this that has been given to us through grace, everything that is waiting for us, everything that is here, everything is encapsulated in the I am presence. I am is another name for God. It is the name of being, the name of presence. And it is our sacred joy to remember who we are. And so we sing together. I am remembering who I am, remembering the truth of our existence, that we are one with love. We are one with everything, one with all that is. And as we remember it for ourselves, we use this remembrance to remember for all beings everywhere. We bless everyone with our song. I am remembering who I am. I am remembered. In this place of the precious silence, which may seem like nothing, but is actually everything, let us breathe in deeply into this mystical consciousness, into this paradox. And then as we exhale, we open our eyes in love and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is.
I concerned too long with what was going wrong. What would not move or what would not turn. Ooh, there is a way for sure in what I have endured. I am now prepared to let go and go to the city, the serious city of God. Receive me. I was standing before all that had shut out my light, but your love, oh God, you restored my sight. Hallelujah. Oh, heavens and end, I believe in myself again. Hallelujah. In the city of man. Oh, oh, oh. This one remains at hand when God's the only plan. No greater joy have I known. Ooh, standing before the serious city of God. Receive me. I was standing before all that had shut out my light, but your love, oh God, you restored my sight. Hallelujah. Oh, heavens and I believe in myself again. Hallelujah. In the city of man. Woo. Say that one day, God, open up my heart one day to the city here within me. I had to let go of the way I thought and the way that I used to be. And so I prayed to love and I prayed to see the city shining everywhere. And I let God lift me up far beyond my toils and snails, 'cause God is your present help. Even in your time of need, God is there for you. Even when you don't believe, I know it up and believe. I know it up and receive. I know it up and go to the city, the serious city of God. Receive me. I was standing before in the city. Oh, hallelujah, 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 amen.
Well, I was thinking, Gino has such a high level of energy, and it's sometimes interesting to step into that. So I thought maybe I could do my talk like, hello, everybody. Because we like it when you get all growly like that, don't we? Hallelujah. Okay, I have no voice now, so, all right. Anyway. There is a technique, yes. Yeah. We'll talk. Okay. Right. So the name of this particular presentation here, this sermon, is Everything is Waiting for You, and it's based on that poem that Hugh read, that beautiful poem by David White. And it's also based on a piece that I wrote in a blog. I have this blog called Daily Beloved, and haven't written in it for a while, but, but the piece that I wrote was about my nephew, Shep. My great-nephew. My sister Judy was in town. Many of you met her last week when she was in town. And she was in town to visit her son, David, and his wife, Sylvia, and they have a little baby named Shep, who's 2 years old. And, I chose not to have children, and I haven't been around children a lot. But there's something about Shep and me. We have this bond going on, He is very, very connected to me. And I think it has to do with the singing, because I know a wealth of silly songs. Does anybody know boop, boop, did-em, da-dum, wa-dum, choo? Boop, boop, did-em, da-dum, wa-dum, choo? Boop, boop, did-em, da-dum, wa-dum, choo? And we swim and they swam all over the dam. Right. Okay, yeah. So let's all sing this one. He likes this one, too. I like big butts and I cannot lie. Maybe we should stop right there, okay? But one of the songs is kind of, not as many people know it. I'm curious as to whether you know it. It's just a song that I learned as a child, and we had a picture book that went with it. And you can still get the picture book. It's called the ABC Bunny. Do you guys know that one? It's A for apple, big and red, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. Do you know this? B for bunny, snug a bed, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. C for crash, that's the apple. C for crash, D for dash, E for elsewhere in a flash, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. Elsewhere in a flash, tra-la. And Shep, thank you. Elsewhere in a flash, tra-la. Sheppy loves that song, and my sister and I hadn't sung it since 30 years ago. So we were curious about the words. We couldn't remember all the words because, of course, there's something for every letter of the alphabet. And when you're getting down to X, Y, Z, it's a challenge. So she found it on her iPad. And this was during Thanksgiving dinner, by the way, where we had probably 50 people in the house, and probably 15 of them were under 9 years old. And Shep was off playing with his friends. My sister Judy found the ABC Bunny song on the iPad. She started playing it, and we were sitting on the couch together. And Shep all of a sudden heard it. He dropped his toys, he ran away from the children, and he climbed up on my lap, and he sat there to listen to the words of the song. And I didn't want it to stop, ever. And it had such an impact on me. I felt the weight of this small boy in my lap for days, and I wondered what that was really about. Certainly I'm very familiar with the play Our Town, where Emily dies in the third act. She dies in childbirth, and she comes back to Grover's Corners, and she asks if she can live one more day. But she lives this day aware of everything that's going around with her, and it becomes too painful for her that she missed it all while she was alive. And so she says, I have to go back, and she starts saying goodbye to sunflowers and starch sheets and the smell of coffee, and she says, oh, Earth, you are too beautiful for anyone to realize you. Does anybody ever realize life when they live it? And the stage manager says, maybe I should have you come and say this in a New Hampshire accent.
No. Saints and poets maybe, they do some.
Yeah, that wasn't a New Hampshire accent though, was it? Okay, do it again. Do it again with the New Hampshire accent.
No, I can't.
Okay, he's done the role on stage, but I guess you can't just jump into that. You got to get into character. So anyway, yeah, saints and poets can sometimes realize the power and the beauty of life when they know it. Saints and poets realize that everything is waiting for us. Everything is here. And so that's my intention for us today, is that we are like the saints and the poets, that we evolve into that place where we live like the saints and the poets, where we know that everything is waiting for us. Everything is waiting for us. Everything not only is waiting for us, everything is here for us already. We're the ones who are waiting. And the only catch is to stop waiting and to learn to start receiving everything that is here for us. So much good that we can't even imagine. Some of us may be wondering, but wait a minute, she doesn't know my life. She doesn't know the problems that I have. She doesn't know the challenges that I'm up against. She doesn't know some of the troubles that I've lived through and some of the things that I'm facing right now. Maybe instead of feeling like everything is waiting for you or everything is here for you, we may feel like nothing is going right. Nothing is here for us. However, last weekend, many of you, I think, were here last weekend when we had the 17 children from India come. And they taught me something, and I'm assuming they taught us something. Just giving a little bit of background, I've been involved with this organization that is partially up in Northern California and partially in India for the last 7 or 8 years now. And one of the things that we as a congregation did is that we raised money to bring these 17 children from the slums of India to come over here and to do a show about kindness and compassion. And they came to the church to say thank you to us and also just to share their love. And yet, these children have nothing from a material standpoint. You know, when they were here last week, I didn't dwell a lot on the way that they live, but I spent quite a bit of time in the slums the last time I was in India. And many of these children live in rooms and houses without solid walls, with tarps and corrugated aluminum put up. They don't have running water. They struggle with getting enough food. They don't have electricity. They struggle with sanitation. They don't have the same cultural background that we did. Several of us went to Disneyland with them. One little girl, a 17-year-old girl, took my hand as soon as we walked through the gate, and she said, "I will remember this day my entire life." We said we were going to go on the Indiana Jones ride. And they said, "Who's Indiana Jones?" They didn't really know who Mickey Mouse was. They had watched a documentary on Walt Disney the night before, so they knew who Walt Disney was, and in that documentary they learned who Mickey Mouse was as well. So in some ways, to us, it may have seemed like they had nothing, but those of us that were here, didn't it also seem like they had everything? They had so much to give. So many lives were transformed by their simple offering. You know, in the time that I spent with them, it just moves my heart to know that I would come into a room and they'd all start saying, "Bonnie Didi," which means Bonnie Big Sister. Bonnie Didi. You know, and they'd say that for all of us, Bonnie Didi or Bonnie Ben, which is also like sister. My real sister, Judy, the one who was playing the ABC Bunny with my nephew, this little girl came up to me and was hugging me and saying, Bonnie Didi, and then she knelt down and she touched my sister Judy's feet as a sign of respect. And what a beautiful offering that is. And they sang their songs and they did their show, and yet it seemed, again, to American eyes, to eyes from this culture, that they had nothing. So how did they have nothing but also seem like they had everything? And how can we? I think it's a matter of consciousness. It's how we define everything. I was at dinner with I call them the Canadians. They're all sitting over there. So they're Hugh's relatives, two of Hugh's children, and, well, we'll introduce you later, okay? Well, anyway, I was at dinner with the Canadians in a Mexican restaurant. And one of the Canadians, John, my stepson John, asked, "What do you talk about in your church?" And I said, "Well, non-duality and paradox and absolute reality." And then we changed the subject, didn't we? But that's where I go when we ask the hard questions, like how is it that those children seem to have nothing and everything at the same time? And how is it that when we feel like we have nothing, or when nothing is going right, how can we feel like we also have everything? I think that absolute reality and non-duality and paradox are the answers. Let me say what I mean about that. See if I can explain it, John, and there will be a quiz on this after the service. Absolute reality is the belief that there is one wholeness that embraces everything. Within absolute reality, there are pairs of opposites: darkness and light, good and evil, sickness and health, better and worse. I'm doing the marriage vows now in case you don't recognize them, richer and poorer. Within all of this wholeness, within all of these opposites, there is this wholeness that embraces all of it. And it is all for us. It is all for us, and it is all happening all of the time. But our experience of it is governed by our relative perception, by what we are choosing to focus on. If we are choosing on lack versus abundance, we will experience lack. But if we are looking at something that appears like lack and says, "Oh, this is abundance waiting to happen," then our experience becomes abundance, right? So that's how absolute reality works in a nutshell. Another one of my absolute reality, non-duality teachers is Rupert Spira, and I was listening to a video by him yesterday, to support this conversation that we're having this morning. And I came across a video that said, "The real goal of life." I'm like, well, I want to know what that is. I doubt it's eat as many chocolate chip cookies as you possibly can. So, very simple. This person was talking to Rupert Spira. He was obviously in a bit of distress, and he asked him, "What is the purpose of life? What is the goal of life? What is the purpose?" And Rupert Spira just very simply said, "The purpose of life is happiness." Can everyone just sigh with me? I thought it was going to be something more academic or more like achievement-oriented, but it's just happiness. It's like my friend Jeff says, the surfer on the ocean that's having the best surfer on the ocean is the one that's having the best time, right? What if the best liver, says it on this side, not liver, but the best life liver is the person who's having the best time? He went on to describe what happiness is, and he said, true happiness is knowing who you are, remembering who you are, remembering the true nature of your being, which is wholeness, which is that unbroken wholeness that I was talking about before when I was speaking of absolute reality. That is what happiness is. And that happiness is not dependent upon any object whatsoever. When spirit created the world, or the void created the world, or whatever created the world, let's say consciousness created the world out of itself so that it might have experience. So consciousness created existence. And the way it disguised itself as adversity and challenge and struggle and ego and separate self, so that we would have the divine experience of discovery, of discovering that truly we are consciousness, we are existence, but all in all, we are all that is. We are the wholeness that is consciousness. And there's a joy in discovery to that. It's a good thing that we can't always see it. I had a teacher when I was in the School of Ministry who was a counseling teacher, and he was talking about how to counsel people, and he had 6 children, and he said one year he had gotten his youngest son, who's 6 years old, and he really, really wanted a 2-wheeler, a bicycle. And all the kids knew about it, and they were so excited about getting this kid this bicycle. So they ran down the stairs to the Christmas tree, and one of the older boys ripped the package off of the bicycle. And the little kid who was supposed to get it, the 6-year-old, was excited. But my teacher said how wonderful it is instead to allow people to open their own packages. And Spirit provides us with this gift by providing us with obstacles or providing us with things that seem like they're in the way of everything waiting for us or having everything. Spirit provides us this gift so that we can rip off the packages ourselves and have the divine gift of opening up a surprise and seeing what Spirit has in store for us, hidden, the wholeness hidden in adversity. In Sanskrit, Sat Chitananda, right? Sat, existence, Chit, consciousness, and Ananda is bliss. That's where that happiness piece comes in. It's not Sat, Chit, whining, right? It's not Sat, Chit, complaining about others. It's Sat, Chit, Ananda, bliss. Bliss is both the destination and the journey to our purpose in life, the full realization of happiness. And the happiness that is not dependent upon any object. Because when Spirit created out of the void, created existence out of itself, it created infinite objects, but we are infinite subject. Because we are connected, we are made in the image and likeness of that Creator. You get that? You get that? You get that, Toby? You get that, Lenine? Oh, good, okay. You get that? Okay. Oh, I love picking on picking on people. It's really fun. Feel free to heckle me back anytime if you like. So I think that's how we have everything and nothing at the same time. Really, we are mostly empty space. We are nothing, and yet we have everything because we are empty space and we are nothing. You know, I always go back to this. I go back to this. It's a little nerdy. The guy who wrote it says, I'm the only person who read it and liked it. It's a friend of mine from up north, he's Indian. But he talks about how 0 is actually everything. Because 0 is the sum total of every single number, positive and negative, extending infinitely into the vast unknown. And if you add all of those numbers up, it's 0. 0 contains everything. So we practice our nothingness. We practice our self-emptying. We practice releasing that which does not serve us. We practice letting go of that which seems to tell us, the illusion that tells us that we can't have everything, because we already do have everything. It's Sat Chitananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss. All of it waiting for us. All of it waiting to be received. All of it waiting to be welcomed. A few practices, because all of this stuff takes practice. It's not like we're just shot out of the, oh, I can't do it. Can somebody make a popping noise? Good. Shot out of the womb. Knowing all of this stuff. We may know it for a few minutes, right? We may know it for a few years, but then the illusion and the race consciousness and our training and our teachers and whatever it is starts to impinge upon us so that we don't know that we are everything and that we have everything. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what's supposed to happen so that we can practice and open up our own packages, right? So some ways of practicing. Well, one is to really recognize your gifts and know what they are and give your gifts freely. Those children from India, a large part of their gift was singing and dancing, but really they were selected not only for that reason, they were selected through their willingness to participate in the values of the program, which is exuberant giving and exuberant loving and exuberant care of others and care of self. We gave them a lot of presents when we were here. We got a little carried away because I got them some stuff and then some other people got them some stuff. And I know that they live very simply and that they also have suitcases that they have to take all over the country and the world. And I finally said to Nemo, is this okay? Is this okay that we're giving them so much stuff? Does this coincide with your values? And he said, oh yes, absolutely, because the children made a decision before they came here that if anybody gave them presents, they were going to pay them forward to their brothers and sisters back in India. They came up with that idea by themselves. Not only their family brothers and sisters, but their extended brothers and sisters. He said that way it feels like more of them got to go on this tour. That way it widens the circle of love. So we have our gifts and we give them away. Whenever I go to a service-based event up north in Marin or in India, I always say to myself, I will do whatever they ask me to do. I will serve in whatever capacity they ask me to serve. And then I go, please don't ask me to valet park. Please don't ask me to valet park. Because I cannot back. I can go forward, okay, but backing up, as evidenced by the 3 wrecks I've had in my driveway since I got my Prius like 6 months ago. And usually God takes care of me and I get to do something that I'm good at and I like to do. But it is so wonderful to go through life saying, just use me. Let me serve in whatever capacity is needed. So that's one way to practice. Another way to practice is to be mindful about the consciousness of trying to change the world and change other people. I used to say don't change other people because it doesn't work very well. Has anybody successfully changed somebody? Sometimes you do need to give feedback and you need to give a little boundary or something like that. So I say be mindful about the consciousness of changing other people. You can certainly give feedback, you can certainly set a boundary, but the key part is remaining unattached to whether or not they respond in the manner that you wish they would respond, right? So we change the world, and we may try and change other people. It pains me to say that, but we may try and change other people. It's not like I don't do it every day, but it still pains me to say it. We may try and change other people, but the key is to allow people to be who they are and remain detached from the result. Remain detached from the result. I thought that was so beautiful when Nemo Patel, who was the leader of the Indian children, was talking about how in the visa process, they were trying to change the visa process, and the kids, it was like a week before they had to leave, and they couldn't get their visas. And rather than saying, we got to change this, we got to make this happen, he was like, maybe we're not supposed to go. Maybe we're not supposed to go. Maybe the real action is purifying ourselves in response to what is going on. So if there's somebody that you feel is extremely change-worthy, anybody know anybody really change-worthy? Somebody that you desperately want to change? If somebody is extremely change-worthy, absolutely knock yourself out. Try and change them a little. But also, perhaps do the work of purifying, which is detaching from whether or not they are going to change according to your will. And then there was one more thing that we can do. Well, there's probably a lot more things that we can do to practice, but the one that I thought of was just to be like Emily in our town and start naming and listing and seeing all of the beauty around us now. Don't wait until we're on our deathbed, because Carly Simon, the prophet Carly Simon said, these are the good old days, right? These are the good old days. Yesterday I was hiking up in Sulphur Mountain, and there were about 1,000 butterflies up there, painted ladies. And this bicycle rider came up, and butterflies seem to like people on bicycles. Did you know that? If you want to attract butterflies, get on a bicycle, because every bicycle rider I passed had a cloud of butterflies around him. And the first one came up, and he said good morning to me, and I had the dogs with me, and I said good morning to him, and he said, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" You know what I said? Everything is waiting for us. Because it is. Let us take these words into our hearts and remember that not only is everything waiting for us, it's not a when I get my act together, then everything will be available for me. It is an immediate proposition. Right now, everything is waiting for you. Will you say yes to it? So I turn within to the beauty of this sacred moment, knowing that right here and right now, everything is perfect. That we have our bodies, we have our hearts, we have our minds, we have our beings. We're sitting in this beautiful sanctuary with beautiful people. We hold wonderful people in our hearts, those who are easy to be with and those who challenge us. And we know in this consciousness that everything is here for us, for our awakening, for our growth, for our depth, for our power, and for our homecoming, because we are homesick for the wholeness that we are. Today, I connect with that wholeness and release all notions of homesickness, because we are who we are right here and right now. We do not have to wait to be the I Am Presence. The I Am Presence is alive and well and thriving in every single one of us. And so I say yes to that right now. And I allow that presence to change my vision, to change my intention, to change my heart, and to see the world as it is. To see the wholeness of the Absolute in all things. And to rest in me as me, and to guide my steps with perfect direction. And so our relationships flow with ease and grace. Our work flows with ease. Our finances flow. Our lives flow. Our inner relationship with the self, our self-appreciation and self-acceptance flows from this place of gratitude and grace. And truly, everything is here for us. And we know that today, deeper than we ever have known before. And so I'm just so grateful for this time together, grateful for the transformation that I know is occurring in each of us today by virtue of our work. I am grateful for this teaching. I bless this center and all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics. I bless all of them, for all beings are a blessing. And with a heart that is so filled with blessedness and so filled with good, I say, thank you, Spirit. Thank you, love. And I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And trusting and knowing the blessedness that flows through us, let us prepare our offering, knowing that it is sacred devotional practice, knowing that as we give, we receive, as we receive, we give, and that we are participating in a cycle of wholeness that is amazing and beautiful and great. I invite you, as you are ready, to place your hands over your heart, to place your blessing or your offering over your heart, and to feel that beautiful circulator that just beats away without us even paying attention to it. What a beautiful microcosm this is to the macrocosm of spirit. And we breathe and know that that is also circulation. And we become conscious circulators, knowing what energy we send with our offering. And so in the spirit of that conscious circulation, I invite you to please repeat after me. We trust in spirit. Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are. We offer our gifts. They are outer expressions of our inner abundance. Our gifts bless many and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways, so that we may give again. And so it is. Thank you.
Radiant faith is my friend today, and I see my life in a different way. I'm not excited, and I'm not crawling in despair, but I'm better than I have been. At the center of my sober mind, I am calm, I am sure all is well, for I know that every valley shall be exalted, every mountain lay low. I'm living in the desert, the roses blooming on the highway, for my God, blooming on the highway, for my God. Oh. The years on the road, so narrow and long, taught me to listen to life's sacred song. Can you hear it? And even if you fall, a radiant faith keeps you strong, and it gives you the courage to stand. Feel the song, and move on. But be sure that every valley shall be exalted, every mountain lay low. I'm living in the desert, the rose is blooming on the highway, for my God, blooming on the highway, for my God. Radiant faith is my friend, and I know that the way has been prepared for me on the highway. No dead end streets on the highway. We gotta do the work on the highway. We're walking in forever the highway. There's no hitchhiking on the highway. You hear a choir of angels on the highway. We gotta do the work on the highway. We're walking in forever on the highway. Every day's a blessing on the highway. There's no hitchhiking on the highway. You hear a choir of angels on the highway. But my God, every valley shall be exalted, every mountain laid low. I'm living in the desert, and the rose is blooming on the highway, for my God, blooming on the highway, for my God. I'm blooming on the highway, for my God. Are you blooming my God. Oh my God.